Which foundational concept from the Enlightenment most directly shaped the founders' belief in natural rights? A. Absolute monarchy as a tool for social stability. B. Government by divine right as the only lawful authority. C. The view that life, liberty, and property are inherent to all individuals. D. The rejection of government in favor of full social freedom. Answer: C. The view that life, liberty, and property are inherent to all individuals. Use the scenario below to answer the question that follows. A piece of legislation is passed by Congress and signed into law by the President. Shortly afterward, a citizen group challenges the law in federal court, arguing it conflicts with the U.S. Constitution. Which principle of the U.S. Constitution allows a federal court to resolve this dispute by examining the law's constitutionality? A. Checks and balances. B. Reserved powers. C. Judicial review. D. Executive privilege. Answer: C. Judicial review. Under the U.S. Constitution, which power does the House of Representatives uniquely possess? A. Reviewing judicial nominations made by the President. B. Initiating all bills related to raising revenue. C. Approving ambassadors to foreign countries. D. Declaring laws unconstitutional. Answer: B. Initiating all bills related to raising revenue. Which of the following events directly influenced the passage of the 24th Amendment, which banned poll taxes? A. The Great Depression and the subsequent New Deal measures. B. The civil rights movement's push for broad voting rights protections. C. Demands for gender equality following women's suffrage. D. Ongoing U.S. involvement in overseas military operations. Answer: B. The civil rights movement's push for broad voting rights protections. Which statement best describes the purpose of the Federalist Papers written in the late 1780s? A. They served as early drafts of the Bill of Rights. B. They advocated the immediate adoption of a parliamentary system. C. They argued for the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. D. They encouraged direct democracy at the state level. Answer: C. They argued for the ratification of the U.S. Constitution. Which of the following is a constitutional limitation on presidential power? A. The President is required to resign after passing a federal law. B. The President must have all executive orders pre-approved by the states. C. The Senate can refuse to confirm presidential appointments. D. The Supreme Court must sign off on every presidential proclamation. Answer: C. The Senate can refuse to confirm presidential appointments. Use the passage below, from a mid-18th century colonial document, to answer the question that follows. Governments should not burden trade nor impose new duties unless the people's representatives have given their consent. Which grievance voiced by American colonists against British rule does this statement echo? A. No taxation without representation. B. No colonization beyond the Appalachian Mountains. C. No forced quartering of foreign militias. D. No national draft of colonial citizens. Answer: A. No taxation without representation. Which of these Supreme Court cases expanded the rights of those accused or convicted of crimes by requiring that states provide legal counsel if a defendant cannot afford an attorney? A. Gideon v. Wainwright. B. Roe v. Wade. C. Plessy v. Ferguson. D. Baker v. Carr. Answer: A. Gideon v. Wainwright. In which way does the Bill of Rights limit government power? A. By defining procedures for presidential succession. B. By ensuring that certain individual liberties cannot be infringed. C. By outlining the process to amend the Constitution. D. By creating guidelines for regulating interstate commerce. Answer: B. By ensuring that certain individual liberties cannot be infringed. Which of the following best reflects the principle of consent of the governed? A. A monarchy in which rulers inherit power from their ancestors. B. A system where legislatures are selected by the executive branch. C. Popular elections in which citizens choose their representatives. D. A judiciary that operates independently of any public feedback. Answer: C. Popular elections in which citizens choose their representatives. Why did anti-federalists advocate for the inclusion of a Bill of Rights in the U.S. Constitution? A. They desired a clause ensuring a hereditary monarchy. B. They wanted to guarantee protection for individual liberties against federal encroachment. C. They sought to increase federal authority at the expense of the states. D. They hoped to abolish the separation of powers among government branches. Answer: B. They wanted to guarantee protection for individual liberties against federal encroachment. After the Revolution, many states added a Declaration of Rights to their constitutions. Which U.S. document was directly influenced by such state-level declarations? A. The Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments. B. The Articles of Confederation. C. The Northwest Ordinance. D. The Preamble to the Constitution. Answer: A. The Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments. What is the primary function of the full faith and credit clause found in Article 4 of the U.S. Constitution? A. It binds states to respect court judgments and public records from other states. B. It ensures Congress can impose taxes equally on all states. C. It allows states to declare federal laws unenforceable within their borders. D. It provides the President with authority to deploy the National Guard within any state. Answer: A. It binds states to respect court judgments and public records from other states. Which of the following best exemplifies a limitation placed on the federal government by the First Amendment? A. Authorities may force individuals to house soldiers in their homes. B. The government cannot penalize the expression of unpopular beliefs. C. Law enforcement must have probable cause to conduct searches. D. The Electoral College must obey the results of state referendums. Answer: B. The government cannot penalize the expression of unpopular beliefs. Use the excerpt below, from an 18th century proposal, to answer the question that follows, that each branch of the legislature should be composed so that no single group can dominate, ensuring checks against tyranny. Which compromise or plan during the Constitutional Convention did this viewpoint most likely influence? A. The 3/5 Compromise. B. The Connecticut Great Compromise. C. The Commerce and Slave Trade Compromise. D. The Virginia Plan exclusively. Answer: B. The Connecticut Great Compromise. Which scenario best demonstrates the principle of rule of law in the U.S. political system? A. Citizens must pass a literacy test to vote. B. Legislators are exempt from the same taxes regular citizens pay. C. A governor refuses to enforce a judicial ruling due to personal disagreement. D. An elected official who violates campaign finance regulations faces prosecution. Answer: D. An elected official who violates campaign finance regulations faces prosecution. Use the scenario below to answer the question that follows. A piece of legislation passed by a state conflicts with a local county ordinance. Both claim authority to regulate the same issue. How would this conflict likely be resolved within the state's legal framework? A. The U.S. Supreme Court would rule on the matter automatically. B. The local ordinance would override the state law under home rule principles. C. The state law would supersede the local ordinance, provided it does not conflict with federal law. D. The federal government would confiscate local and state authority to enforce uniformity. Answer: C. The state law would supersede the local ordinance, provided it does not conflict with federal law. Use the excerpt below, from Thomas Paine's 1776 pamphlet Common Sense, to answer the question that follows. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. Which argument did Paine's work most strongly support during the American Revolution? A. An immediate reconciliation with Britain to maintain trading advantages. B. The extension of monarchical powers to protect commercial interests. C. The pursuit of independence from Great Britain due to its oppressive rule. D. The expansion of parliamentary oversight within the colonies. Answer: C. The pursuit of independence from Great Britain due to its oppressive rule. Which of the following is an example of how federalism operates in the current U.S. system? A. Both national and state governments can impose taxes on citizens. B. The president may alter state boundaries to create new counties. C. Local governments appoint federal judges to the bench. D. A state's new law supersedes any existing federal statute. Answer A. Both national and state governments can impose taxes on citizens. Which of these outcomes resulted from the 1803 Supreme Court decision in Marbury v. Madison? A. It upheld the separate but equal doctrine. B. It prohibited the federal government from levying direct taxes. C. It expanded states' rights to regulate interstate commerce. D. It established the concept of judicial review. Answer D. It established the concept of judicial review. Which historical document had the greatest influence on the structure of the U.S. government as established in the Constitution of 1787? A. Magna Carta, limiting the power of the monarchy. B. English Bill of Rights, expanding parliamentary authority. C. Mayflower Compact, providing a basis for self-governance. D. All of the above contributed significantly to American political thought. Answer D. All of the above contributed significantly to American political thought. Use the scenario below to answer the question that follows. A group organizes a demonstration on public property to advocate for new environmental policies. Police issue permits but require the group to protest on a specified sidewalk to ensure public safety. Which constitutional freedom is being exercised in this example? A. Freedom of religion. B. Freedom from self-incrimination. C. Freedom of assembly. D. Freedom to quarter troops. Answer C. Freedom of assembly. In which way can the legislative branch check the power of the executive branch? A. By declaring executive actions unconstitutional. B. By approving or rejecting the president's treaties. C. By conducting federal elections for the presidency. D. By issuing executive orders in response to vetoes. Answer B. By approving or rejecting the president's treaties. Which statement best summarizes the principle of popular sovereignty? A. Government receives its authority from the permission of the people it governs. B. Government is appointed by a foreign monarch. C. Elected officials retain power without regular elections. D. State constitutions are dictated by the federal judiciary. Answer A. Government receives its authority from the permission of the people it governs. Which scenario would be considered an example of protected symbolic speech under the First Amendment? A. Burning a privately owned building to protest government spending. B. Threatening physical harm against a public official. C. Wearing a political armband to express dissent. D. Inciting a riot in the Capitol building. Answer C. Wearing a political armband to express dissent.